Vivian forcefully pulls a tapeworm out of her body. Though tapeworms look frightening, they are considered a weight loss miracle for models. Fresh college graduate Vivian has a good figure and dreams of becoming a top model. During an interview with a modeling agency, her flawless performance on the runway earns the agent's praise, but she is not hired, rejected due to her weight.
What are you, a size 2?
4?
Oh, sweetie, a 4? You're too fat.
Vivian feels devastated and resolves to diet and exercise to lose weight. However, her friend Heather dismisses this approach. Heather, who used to wear a size 4, tells Vivian she lost weight quickly by visiting a weight loss specialist, Dr. Lau, and hands her his business card. Following the address on the card, Vivian finds a red door in an alley, which is Dr. Lau's office. Dr. Lau prescribes her a week's worth of Mortify, a drug originally for diabetics but widely used by Hollywood stars and models for weight control, with great results. Initially skeptical, Vivian is assured by Dr. Lau that Mortify is certified by professional institutions, has minimal side effects, and is easy to use. Vivian takes the drug home. It's an injectable. With her friend's help, she administers the first dose. Vivian continues injecting Mortify, and a few months later, she successfully passes a modeling audition thanks to her now improved figure. The agent, suspecting her use of Mortify, advises her to keep using it, as all top models do. Soon, with the agent's help, Vivian graces the covers of numerous magazines, frequently taking center stage. On this day while filming, Vivian suddenly fell down. She thought it was a side effect of taking Motif, so she woke up and found Dr. Lau to check again. Dr. Lau, after examining her heart, finds it problematic and warns her that continuing Mortify could cause her heart to explode. Vivian, pleading that her lifelong dream is to be a top model, begs Dr. Lau for another solution. Moved by her earnestness, Dr. Lau retrieves a box containing an ancient tapeworm, claiming it's more effective than Mortify. However, she must strictly follow his instructions if she chooses this method.
You will feel hungry, very hungry, but you must eat normally, no more than you would ordinarily. Do you understand?
Vivian carefully picks up the tapeworm eggs and puts them in her mouth, then drinks the tea Dr. Lau pours for her. Upon returning home, Vivian feels ravenous. She opens her fridge to find most of the food rotten, yet she finds it delicious. She ate the chow mein noodles that had been sitting around for 3 days and the rotting, moldy cantaloupe, shouting how good it smelled as she ate it. And she ate moldy food without feeling any discomfort and even went on a magazine shoot that afternoon. During breaks, she gorges on high-calorie foods like fried chicken and cheese, disregarding her appearance. As her hunger grows uncontrollable, she forgets Dr. Lau's advice to eat normal portions, risking harmful consequences. Vivian gradually loses control, her body weakening, and her mental state deteriorates. For the latest issue of the magazine, the costume designer told Vivian that she had lost 5 pounds in a week, causing all those previous outfits to no longer fit.
What's going on? Is it bulimia? Anorexia?
No, it's...
This ain't my first rodeo, sister. I'm not trying to embarrass you. I want you to have a long and healthy career.
Burn, you fat lesbian cow.
Vivian turned to the snack aisle and began eating snacks voraciously, completely disregarding her model image and losing all semblance of elegance. This scene was witnessed by a client, who promptly told her to clean off the food crumbs on her body. Suddenly feeling aggravated and horrified, Vivian ran to the bathroom and tried to spit out what she had just eaten, but after half a day of picking at her throat there was nothing at all. Unable to bear herself any longer, she sought out Dr. Lau in the middle of the night. By this time, Vivian was in a pitiable state, looking like someone who hadn't eaten in a week. Looking at her like this, Dr. Lau also regrets letting her eat tapeworms. Vivian told Dr. Lau she was too thin, and if she continued losing weight, the company would soon fire her. She begged him to find a way to remove the tapeworm. Dr. Lau guessed that since Vivian had been feeding the tapeworm, it must have grown very large by now, and there was only one way to get it out. Dr. Lau left his office. Returning moments later with a bottle of potion, he explained that drinking it would cause the tapeworm to exit through her anus, and she would need to pull it out completely. Vivian went home, looked at herself in the mirror with the potion in hand, and drank it without hesitation. She then removed all her lower garments and sat in the bathtub. A few minutes later, She felt a sharp pain in her stomach and knew the tapeworm was emerging. Spreading her legs, she saw a huge white worm slowly appear. It stood before Vivian moments later. Lau hadn't told her the tapeworm was aggressive and had a mouth full of teeth. Using all her strength, Vivian grabbed it and slowly pulled the worm from her body. By the time it was out, she was completely exhausted. Freed from her body, the tapeworm seemed to gain new vitality, devouring one of her eyes. And ultimately, Vivian paid the price for her slim figure with her life. Not long after, Heather, worried about Vivian, came to her house and saw the scene in the bathroom, only to be suddenly strangled by the tapeworm. As Heather opened her mouth to gasp for air, the tapeworm seized the opportunity to crawl inside, successfully parasitizing Heather, who then became the new top model in the industry.
Miss Klein, I am starving.
Toby just slept and his kidney was stolen. How could he not expect to meet an organ thief in his online love run now? Toby had a pair of exceptionally healthy kidneys, which allowed him to spend nights with different women almost every day. Idle time is spent opening up social media apps to pick the next target, and I'm even distracted while talking to my boss. Toby's mother used to be his boss's secretary, so his boss valued him greatly. However, recently, employees had been complaining that Toby was distracted at work, so his boss called him in for a talk. While the boss was speaking, Toby was secretly browsing for women under the table. Seeing that he wasn't listening, the boss hastily ended the meeting. After leaving the office, Toby continued his search and showed his colleagues the woman he planned to meet that night. His colleagues saw the picture of Natessa and warned Toby about the risks of online dating and the need for caution when meeting in person. But Toby, already captivated by Natessa's beauty, didn't hear a word she said. That evening at the bar, Toby met Natessa and couldn't help but marvel at her. Toby easily gains Natessa's heart. Before they even finished their first drink, they rushed back to Toby's place. Just as things were heating up, Natessa suddenly injected a sedative into Toby's leg, causing him to pass out within 3 seconds. He woke up the next morning, still thinking about Natessa, when he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his abdomen. Removing the band-aid from his stomach, he realized there was a huge gash. Fighting through the pain, he called for an ambulance. Doctors examined him and revealed that a professional team had removed his left kidney the previous night. Moreover, they had implanted something unknown inside his body, which appeared to be a mysterious organ. This organ was connected to Toby's nerves and arteries, making removal likely to cause massive bleeding and be life-threatening. The police arrived at the hospital to investigate, but all information about Natessa had vanished from the internet. Additionally, surveillance footage had been deleted, indicating professional tampering. After recovering for a while, Toby returned to work and sought help from a friend in the tech department, spending $50,000 to find information on Natessa. That night, Toby had a nightmare. In his dream, Natessa appeared in his home, claiming she needed to retrieve something. She then cut open Toby's abdomen and removed all his organs. Suddenly, he was awakened by a phone call. His friend had found information on Natessa on the dark web. Through her tattoo, they traced her to an organization that frequently held events. The next event was in the city center, and Toby was determined to find Natessa, no matter the cost. He eventually spent $100,000 to get a ticket to the event. Everyone entering the venue wore masks. It was an auction for healthy human organs, including intestines and kidneys. Some buyers collected organs, others replaced their aging ones, and some even turned them into gourmet dishes. During the auction, Toby looked up and saw a familiar figure with a tattoo. It was Natessa. Toby used a gun to force her out of the venue, demanding to know why she took his kidney. Natessa explained that Toby's genetic information was publicly available online. The organization found him incredibly healthy and took his kidney. However, no one knew what the implanted organ was, but it made him more valuable than ever. After hearing this, Toby realized that others would come to take the mysterious organ from him. Natessa was just an actress in the organization. Revealing the truth didn't save her life. Toby shot her anyway. The next day, he took the police to the organization's meeting place, hoping to expose everything, only to find it had turned into a library. The police claimed there was a book signing event there the previous night, making it impossible for an organ auction to have occurred. Moreover, they found a corpse nearby that matched Toby's description of the organ thief, making Toby a suspect. They planned to take him back to the station for questioning. On the way, Toby confessed to accidentally shooting Natessa. Gradually, he noticed the route was wrong. The police car wasn't heading to the station. He then realized the police were also part of the organization, covering up the auction's existence. When Toby woke up again, his boss was standing in front of him. He thought his boss was there to save him, but his boss remained still and introduced the company's new project, artificial organs called glands naphtali. These organs, installed in humans, could make people healthier and more beautiful, especially enhancing sexual experiences for elderly women. People like Toby, with excellent genes and good health, made perfect hosts. Once the organs were fully developed, Toby would lose his value. Soon, the organization's new auction began, featuring glands naphtali developed from Toby's body as the star product, offered exclusively to the highest level members. These members, all elderly super-rich women, wore red masks. The first glands naphtali organ was sold for $2.5 million. There's a saying, don't judge a book by its cover. This girl may not look pretty, but her true nature is even uglier. After her mother died of cancer, Shelby and her father moved to a new place, and she transferred to a new school. However, on her first day, she was bullied by her classmates. During music class, Shelby, influenced by the teacher, temporarily forgot her grief over her mother's death and sang along with the rest of the class. But the class beauty, along with a few others, mocked her. Shelby's good mood was ruined, and when it was her turn to sing solo, she was so nervous that she forgot the lyrics.
Might smell like mothballs.
In a fit of anger, Shelby threw her sheet music at the class beauty's face, but this didn't make her stop. After class, the class beauty followed Shelby, pretending to apologize, then mocking her appearance and asking if her white hair meant she was already going through menopause. Shelby's father was always busy with work, so she rarely communicated with him. She kept the bullying she endured at school to herself. Shelby's hobby was watching makeup live streams. She always wanted to dress up in eccentric ways, but her family upbringing and environment didn't allow it, so she watched these live streams instead. After one live stream ended, a user named Bestie for Life initiated a conversation with her. Since they had the same hobby, they could be friends. Saying that, she took the initiative to initiate a video with Shelby.
Hi.
The kind Shelby didn't flinch at her looks, but instead was friendly and chatted with her online friend. Both men mentioned their fathers, trying to compare between them who was worse. The netizen offers to give each other nicknames in order to improve the relationship.
I'll call you Shelly Belly. And you can just call me Bestie. It'll be like a secret just between us.
Okay. Bestie?
Shelby accepts her offer. Before going to bed, Shelby chatted with Bestie, feeling happier than she had since her mother's death. No one around her communicated with her like a friend, and Bestie fulfilled all her fantasies about having a friend. From then on, every day after school, Shelby would rush home just to chat with Bestie for a few more minutes. Encouraged by Bestie, Shelby put on colorful makeup. To be honest, it looked quite scary. Even Shelby felt she looked like a monster, but Bestie was amazed and praised her, even suggesting she wear the makeup to school. The next day, Shelby went to school with heavy makeup. At first, she was nervous, but gradually, she realized no one really cared, so she relaxed. She ran into the class beauties, but Shelby wasn't as timid as before. Bestie told Shelby that to become more outgoing, she needed to conquer her fears repeatedly, and this makeup was an example. To further boost her confidence, Bestie suggested Shelby punish her father for not spending time with her. Initially, Shelby was hesitant.
Shelbel, are you afraid? You are. Oh my God, what's our rule?
Face your fears.
She took her father's favorite mug, a reward her mother had received for being an outstanding teacher while he was at work. Bestie told her to smash it. Shelby hesitated again, fearing her father would blame her. But Bestie makes a provocative move. Is a water glass more important than Shelby in her father's eyes? This tactic worked. Shelby smashed the mug. She expected to feel happy, but her expression froze as she looked at herself in the mirror. Shelby began to doubt her actions, unsure if they were right or wrong. Immediately after, Bestie uses the bitter tactic of telling her about her tragic life to gain Shelby's sympathy. She told Shelby that her mother had been exposed to harmful substances while pregnant, leading to Bestie being born deformed and confined to her home. Unable to do many things, moved by her story, Shelby decided to do things for Bestie that she couldn't do herself. Bestie instructed Shelby to throw eggs at a neighbor's house, shoplift, and argue with her father. He even deliberately poisoned a stage play on Halloween Eve. leaving his classmates vomiting and hospitalized, until Halloween day, when all the students come to class dressed up, and Shelby's costume scares her classmates and teachers.
Shelby.
And she is forced home by her father. Shelby explained it was just a joke, but her father couldn't accept it. He didn't understand why Shelby had changed so drastically. She used to never dress in such a frightening way. Unsure how to educate her, he locked Shelby in the basement to reflect. Feeling helpless, Shelby reached out to Bestie using a notebook her mother had left. Bestie gives her the idea that Dad will definitely let her out of the basement.
I don't know if you broke a bone or something. He'd have to take you to hospital.
What?
Shelby thought this was too extreme and refused. Bestie exploited Shelby's longing for friendship. Bestie's words made Shelby subconsciously believe that her suffering was her own fault. Feeling guilty, Shelby broke her own arm in pain. However, the pain seemed to wake her up. Her father took Shelby to the hospital. This time, she not only treated her arm but also saw a psychologist. With the psychologist's help, Shelby returned to her old self and realized how dangerous Bestie was. She cut off contact with Bestie and bought an identical mug to apologize to her father, mending their relationship. But Bestie continued to harass her with threatening messages, reminding Shelby of past events and haunting her with her voice. One day after class, Shelby met River, who asked to sign her cast. Wishing her a speedy recovery, they bonded at that moment, and River's companionship became crucial for Shelby. River often invited Shelby out, and their relationship grew closer. During this time, Bestie also continued to harass Shelby, texting and threatening her with consequences if she dared to play disappearing. But with River's companionship, Shelby wasn't afraid. River wanted to help Shelby overcome her trauma and took her to an old mansion. Entering one of the houses, the house was dark and damp, with moldy, damaged walls. The dim lights indicated someone lived there. As Shelby looked around the room, she felt a growing sense of familiarity. When she saw the wallpaper and murals, she realized it was Bestie's home. Terrified, Shelby tried to leave, but River told her to stay calm and wait. Just then, footsteps came from upstairs.
Hello, friend.
And Shelby, scared, tried to run, but River stabbed her to death.
I did it. I did everything you ever asked me to do. I brought her to you. So, you're the only friend I'll ever need. And now we can be together forever.
Best friend. Friend.
It turned out River was also a puppet controlled by Bestie. 4 students, each with their own secret agenda, summoned Bloody Mary, hoping she could fulfill their wishes. As soon as they finished chanting the incantation in front of the mirror, a cold wind blew out the candles. Bloody Mary appeared and presented them with conditions that, if met, would grant their wishes. As soon as she finished stating the conditions, one of the girls let out a blood-curdling scream. The other 3 rushed over, only to witness a horrifying scene. But when they turned on the lights, everything appeared normal. After calming down, they recalled what had just happened. Bianca said she saw Bloody Mary in the mirror and that Bloody Mary had spoken to her. Bloody Mary knew Bianca's wish was to get into Yale University, so she told her that if she accused her counselor of molestation, she would receive a scholarship and a guaranteed admission to Yale. Hearing this, the other 3 shared the conditions Bloody Mary had given them. Lena's wish was to become the cheerleading captain, and all she had to do was make the current captain fall from a height. Maggie's wish was to be with her crush, River. If she posted photos of River's girlfriend online, she would be with River forever. Elisa's wish was to obtain unlimited wealth, but the condition Bloody Mary proposed was so terrifying that Elise didn't specify what it was. She just swore she would never do it. To calm themselves down, the girls tried to rationalize that what they saw was just a trick of the light. The next day, they went to class with a glimmer of hope that it had all been a hallucination. The teacher brought in a mirror for an experiment, and it suddenly cracked. Only the 4 girls could see it.
Mom, you all made pacts with me. Fulfill that!
And they fled the classroom in fear. They realized this was no illusion. Lena remembered hearing that those who didn't fulfill Bloody Mary's conditions would either go insane or die. The 4 girls began to truly fear for their lives. Bianca and Elise were sisters, and though their mother was alive, she refused to care for them, so Bianca had been raised by her older sister, Elise. Elise worked part-time at night, leaving Bianca home alone. One night, Bianca awoke from a nightmare. The sheet covering the mirror had fallen, and Bloody Mary appeared again. She told Bianca that if she didn't fulfill her condition by the same time the next night, something terrible would happen. Terrified, Bianca couldn't sleep and waited outside until Elise came home. Just then, Maggie rushed over to them. It says that Lena died suddenly, collapsed in a bathtub and stabbed in both eyes with a sharp instrument, which is exactly what Bloody Mary is rumored to have done as a punishment. Maggie was convinced it was Bloody Mary's doing. Elise remained the only calm one, comforting the others by saying everything would be fine. But Maggie had lost her mind, fearing she would be Bloody Mary's next victim. Using her programming skills, she downloaded a video of River's girlfriend, intending to post it online to meet Bloody Mary's condition. After much deliberation, she ultimately couldn't go through with it. Meanwhile, Elise found information online about breaking the curse. They needed to steal a dagger from a museum. Luckily, it was a small museum with only one guard. Elise and Bianca teamed up, with one distracting the guard and the other stealing the dagger. They successfully retrieved the dagger, but when they went to tell Maggie the good news, they found she had also died. Realizing time was running out, the sisters located Bloody Mary's house in the deep woods. The area was filled with mirrors. They light candles in front of the mirror and prepare to summon Bloody Mary.
What are you waiting for? Break the mirror, stab her, do something!
Did you bring everything?
Elise took out 2 vials of blood and the dagger from her bag. Then she revealed the truth. Bloody Mary had promised her the world in exchange for the blood of 3 innocent people and the dagger. Elise had killed Maggie and Lena to obtain the blood. However, she was still short 1 vial, which is why she brought Bianca. Bianca could not believe that her loving sister would sacrifice her to fulfill her own desires. She managed to escape while Elise was distracted, hiding under a tree, thinking she was safe. But Elise, guided by Bloody Mary, found her easily. Elise pinned Bianca down, apologizing profusely before stabbing her.
I'm so sorry.
Bianca fought back successfully, killing Elise on the spot, with her favorite loved one dead at her hands. Bianca stares at Bloody Mary in the mirror and begs her to kill her. Bloody Mary told her that if she gave her the blood of 3 innocent people, she could revive Elise. Believing her, Bianca mixed her blood with the others and offered it to Bloody Mary in the mirror. Bianca could never have imagined it was a trap.
You set me free.
It turns out that this is just an exchange ceremony for Bloody Mary, and anyone who offers innocent blood will replace her as the new Bloody Mary. Trapped in the mirror, Bianca's cries for help were futile. In the mirror world, she saw countless other mirrors, each with a person outside pleading for help. The woman looked at her reflection in the mirror, seeing herself transformed into a pig. She thought it was a prank played by those around her, but the surrounding wealthy individuals were accustomed to such scenes and began chanting scriptures. She never imagined she would become a mascot for the rich. Melon and her husband formed a blended family, and when they married, her husband already had a daughter, Faye. Although Melon was Faye's stepmother, she managed their relationship well, so Faye truly considered her to be her mother. The mother and daughter lived comfortably off the inheritance and the Beverly Hills mansion left by Melon's husband. Approaching 70, Melon constantly sought ways to appear younger, but nothing could erase the marks of time. As she aged, she seemed to yearn for love more. Whenever she had the chance, she would gaze at her neighbor Bernie, deeply attracted to him. Faye, noticing her mother's feelings, informed her that Bernie was about to get a divorce. Faye also told her mother that every Friday, Bernie could be seen buying wine at a nearby hotel, creating opportunities for them to meet. Melon, overjoyed by the news, dressed up on Friday and went to the hotel, pretending to run into Bernie by chance. When she learned that Bernie was indeed getting a divorce, she hid her excitement and expressed regret, but her joy was premature because Bernie had already found his next wife. Melon was shocked to see her college classmate, Cassie, who was also 70 but looked no older than 40. While Bernie went to buy wine, Melon asked Cassie how she maintained her youthful appearance. Cassie initially claimed it was through dieting and exercise, but Melon knew that while those could maintain health, they couldn't fend off aging. Cassie told her to stay away from Bernie and then revealed the truth. Cassie gave her a business card for an organization specializing in rejuvenation. After meeting the head of the organization, Melon couldn't contain her emotions and expressed her desperate desire to become young again. Since Melon wasn't originally from Beverly Hills, the head initially refused to help her. Melon insisted that her late husband was a native of Beverly Hills and pleaded until the head finally agreed. She was then taken to the studio and given a detailed facial surgery program based on Melon's facial features. Melon hesitated at the sight of the bill and called her financial manager upon returning home. The manager advised against the surgery, explaining that not only had Melon's husband left an inheritance, but also a significant amount of debt. The surgery would only add to their financial burden. She was going to give up after the housekeeper's persuasion. Melon changed her mind that evening when she heard sounds of intimacy from across the street. Through the window, she saw Bernie getting cozy with Cassie. The next day, Melon resolutely signed the contract and decided to proceed with the surgery. At the surgery site, she noticed all the doctors and nurses had the same butterfly tattoo. Having been injected with an anesthetic, Melon could faintly hear them shouting something in unison. When the surgery was over, her entire body was wrapped in bandages. Faye was shocked upon returning home and seeing her mother, as the surgery had been a full-body procedure. For the next week, Melon had to continuously take painkillers. Faye had returned home because the financial manager had informed her that the family was deeply in debt due to the surgery, and they might even lose the house. Even worse, there was no money left for Faye's doctoral tuition.
You take a student loan like everybody else.
Okay, well that's very nice of you to think of your daughter.
You're a stepdaughter.
Faye was deeply saddened by the news, perhaps affected by the painkillers. Melon realized she had said something wrong and quickly apologized, but Faye still turned and left resolutely. No sooner had Faye left than Melon felt the pain again. She tried to get up to take a painkiller, but with her hands wrapped in bandages, she couldn't grasp the medicine. At that moment, she heard those familiar voices again. Although Faye was angry, she knew her mother needed care, so she returned to her side. Faye was puzzled to see her mother's once thin face suddenly become fuller and asked what kind of surgery she had undergone. Melon explained that it was just normal postoperative swelling. A few days later, Melon visited the head of the organization, who told her the swelling would disappear in another day. However, the head felt Melon's recovery was too slow and believed Faye's presence was having a negative impact. The head invited Melon to their secret base, where she could receive the best care and interact with other patients, all for free. Melon happily agreed and packed her bags to leave for the secret base. Faye tried to stop her, having researched the head's background online and found she had no medical license or degree and had been involved in medical disputes in several states. However, these disputes had vanished since the head moved to Beverly Hills. By this time, Melon was thoroughly brainwashed by the head and believed Faye was hindering her recovery. After expressing her displeasure, Melon left. Guided by a driver, she arrived at the secret base, surrounded by wealthy elites. Though she was the only one still bandaged, the head explained that the others had already recovered and had their bandages removed. After examining Melon's condition, the head decided she could have her bandages removed that night. Melon was elated, looking forward to regaining her youthful beauty, and Faye, worried about his mom, quietly follows her to the secret base and is just about to walk in when the security guard spots him. As the time went by, the person in charge summoned everyone to the courtyard and introduced Melon to the group, saying that there would finally be a new member in the family. Melon stood on the stage, and just then, two security guards dragged Faye in. Faye urged Melon to leave, sensing something was wrong, but Melon, blinded by her desire for beauty, declared herself Faye's stepmother and told her not to interfere. The head gestured for her men to take Faye away and then began removing Melon's bandages in front of the crowd. Still in disbelief that she's been turned into a pig, Melon confronts the man in charge about what he's really done to her. The head explained that it was an annual tradition among Beverly Hills wealthy to hunt a human-pig hybrid for health and longevity. The head told Melon that if she could reach the Pacific Ocean 2 kilometers away before being caught, she would be spared and gave her a 2-minute head start. Melon ran toward the ocean without hesitation, but her age slowed her down. She hadn't gone far when the wealthy hunters caught up. Melon had to run towards the jungle and looked up through a sewer to see the Pacific Ocean not far away. Just as she was about to reach the water, she encountered Bernie. Seeing the spear in Bernie's hand, Melon realizes he's one of them. In her moment of hesitation, the others surrounded her, and she knelt like a pig waiting to be slaughtered. Those spears then stabbed mercilessly towards her. And they didn't stop until the security guards pressed Faye to arrive. Seeing her mother pierced like a pincushion, Faye couldn't contain her sorrow, but the person in charge tells the shocking truth.
You're one of us too. You were meant to live under the blessings of Imitate, the keeper of the beautiful ones.
Faye's own mother is also a member of this cult, and Faye is destined to be a member of the cult from the day he was born.